Oh my God. Hi, everybody. Jana, Kingsford here, Chief Big Dreams Deity of the Internet. I am so excited to meet you and give you a big squeezy hug. Hello. Woo! Dream bigger. Day one. This is the 7 freaking figures in 8 months. The how behind the wow. And I am doing it in the context of my Dream Bigger 5-day free expansion. So here we are with all the vibes, all of the juice, all of the gold. We're going to go on a whole energetic situation, go on an entire journey. If we've never met, I've literally made it my business to help you achieve your big dreams online and otherwise. I literally just cracked 7 freaking figures in 8 months. So yay. And I'm on the way to 8 figures. And I am bringing you guys on every single step of the journey. And we already started last month with a live round of Dream Bigger, and that was the codes around. I just had a 6-figure weekend. And on the back of the 6-figure weekend, I did the Dream Bigger 5-day live expansion. So all of the codes and all of the juice are in that one. This edition is the 7 figures in 8 months edition because Dream Bigger is the ultimate. It holds all of my codes. It holds all of the vibrations and the frequencies and the codes of this next journey of mine. And so why would I name it something else? This is the context. This is the container. This is the vibration of my world. My word for the year is actually quite literally Dream Bigger. And so I've run actually a multiple live rounds of Dream Bigger. I would love to get a feel for it, feel into the field, and make this everything that it is for you. I've actually been online since 2011, not even 20 anything, 2011. I mean, 2011. And that was when I started to write my blog. And I didn't monetize it. It was just purely because I loved to share all of the vibrations of me juggling kids and starting businesses and scaling businesses and all of these vibes. So that was 2011. I just literally was online just for fun. I was writing online for fun. I never saw the potential of it. I didn't see that as a business. All of my traditional businesses, the wedding makeup business that I had, my online tech company that I had, the transport logistics company that I ran, all of those businesses were, I saw as proper businesses. But this love project that I did on the side, I just never saw it as a business. I just was like, I just love writing. And I never knew and realized that that would be one day what I would monetize. It's so interesting how we have such narrow minded views of what constitutes a business or what doesn't. And the way that I got started, to give you a Cliff Notes version, is I was running businesses for about a decade and writing online and writing, just like my story was separate. So I was running these businesses and scaling these businesses, starting these businesses, juggling my kids. I got a university degree while I was running those businesses and juggling those kids. And then I was just writing about it as at the same time I was helping people out. I was giving so much value and passing on everything that I learned, from the failings, from the highs and the lows and the successful failures and the ebbs and the flows and the highs and the lows and the ups and the downs that, come with this territory. And so that's one of the things that I started to do, was just write that since 2011, 2012, 2013. And eventually I got the freaking hint in 2014. I was like, oh, this is the thing that I love the most, sharing the codes that I know. And it took for me to see the potential of this love that I had to write and share my codes online, on my blog, on Pinterest. I used to be on Pinterest and I had a blog and all the things. And I was actually on YouTube back in the day as well, sharing all these things that I was learning and embodying and passing them on. Passing them on has just always been my insatiable desire. My best friend is my COO. She will know from back in the freaking day, from the day, like we've been besties for 20 plus years. I've always had this insatiable desire to learn the things, live it, learn it, embody it, and passing it on gives me so much happiness. And so my besties used to be the only beneficiaries of this, of when I would pass on these things. And now the whole internet gets to be a part of it. So that's my intro. If you're brand spanking new to my live streams, I am a pure channel for what you desire to receive from me and us today. So when you set your intention, a really magical thing happens, is you are going to manifest everything that I say for you in exactly the perfect way that you need to hear it today. And you'll be like, oh my God, are you talking to me? Oh my God, this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed to hear today. This is like a shot of coffee. Oh my God, let's go. And this is going to be a demarcation for your big dreams. It's going to have you taking action like you've never taken before. It's going to have you crystallize with your big dream like you've never felt before. It's going to set you in motion, and you can feel all the cogs like moving and changing and rearranging from this moment forward. And it all starts with you, with your pure intention of what you would love to receive today. Me being the channel for exactly what you would love to receive today. My intention is I would love to have an expansion. My intention is to dream bigger than I've ever dreamt before. My intention is to feel the vibration of what it would mean, what it would feel like, and the energy and the emotions of having 7 figures come through my business and my brand as the channel in 8 months. Like, I want to be in this vibration. I want to be in this vicinity of this frequency. If that is your intention, let me know down below in your own words, or use those words, whatever feels best for you. And then we'll do one more thing before I'm going to literally fire hose the shizzle out of you with one of the most extraordinary channeled posts that I wrote yesterday that was essentially a whole methodology. My intention is that you feel into the vibration that is the full energetic situation of dream bigger. It's a vibration. It is a frequency. Just even writing it. Can you feel it as you write it, as you see me say it, as you hear me say it? Dream bigger. It's coded. It is filled with codes, and it expands us beyond what we are in. For example, if you have big dreams, they are ethereal. We can't see them and we can't touch them specifically. We can't see exactly how we're going to do it. The how is what we see looking back vividly. I see my how behind the wow vividly. As soon as I created and cracked these nuts and crossed these thresholds, my immediate thought is always, I don't know how I did it. And then as I ground in and center in and I get into my pass it on vibes, I can feel the vibration of, oh, I know exactly how I did this. If I can look back and I have this insane superhuman ability to see patterns and to sense the shifts and to take one tiny little teeny breakthrough that might go over somebody's head, I can take it as an absolutely tectonic plates shifting in my life. And so I can really start to see these pivotal moments, and then I can add it up at the end and realize what I changed, what I didn't. So my intention for you today is for you to receive the codes, the frequency fresh, right off the back of me crossing the 7 figures in 8 months. And I used to be the one that would look at the people doing such extraordinary results and be like, oh my God, how in the world? And yay. But if I'm surface leveling it, I was like, yay, I can do that too. I'm doing it too. But deep inside, I didn't believe that that was me or I could do such a thing. So here we are on the other side of that. I definitely have done it. We are here. My loves, let's get going. I'm going to read. I feel like I've just been in a little portal, and so I'm going to open up because I can't see comments, and I think it's the best thing that's ever happened to me, because then I can get all the things that I want to say out, and then I can start to talk to you. So tag somebody that you feel is going to be so perfect for this experience and this expansion. I don't call it a masterclass because you guys are smart. You're super successful entrepreneurs. You're levitating to new levels at lightning fast speeds. I'm working with women that are millionaires, that have $1 million businesses, that some of them are already doing 100K months. Some of them are doing 10K months. You get to decide what space and field you put yourself in. And it's not related or relevant what you are currently receiving and earning, but you are aligning essentially to 7 figures and beyond. That's who I work with. And so you don't need a masterclass or a training or a workshop. You're desiring and requiring expansion, a whole energetic situation that clicks you into gear. It may not be new codes you've never heard before. It just may be a different way that you're feeling into the field. There might be they might drop through for you today in a way that you've never had them drop through. If you've heard something that your mentor or I have said a million times, there comes a day where it drops in like it's never dropped in before. And I desire it to be that for you today, that you hear these codes different, even if you've heard them and you live by them and you know them. I hope that it downloads for you differently. So I think we are all ready to go and we're going to get started. To give you a bit of a story, yesterday I I sat down here and I was finally ready to share because this happened last week that we crossed this threshold. We crossed the 7 figures in 2022 cash for the year already. And as I wrote it, it's, oh my God, that's 7 figures in 8 months. I only realized it when I wrote it. I was like, wow, that's incredible. $1 million in cash already. And my biggest thing is I have 3 things that I do when I'm celebrating. The first thing that I do is a celebratory symbol. So this is buying like jewelry or something that's going to have me remember it, something that I wear on my person. I always do that because when I first am in a celebration, I feel like a deer in the headlights. And I think the biggest thing for me is to always have a celebration symbol. But this is not what today is training about. The second thing that I do is a celebratory experience. We've got covered. We're planning the party right now. And the third thing that I do is a celebratory service. I pass it on because that is my favorite thing to do. I love it. It makes me feel so alive. It makes me feel so on purpose and in the pocket and aligned with my life's work, doing what I love for a living and passing it on. And so I was like, right, I'm going to write like the most banger post you've ever seen. And I'm going to really get to the bottom of the how behind the wow of 7 figures in 8 months. I'm going to take a breath because at first I was like, I don't know what I did. I was like, what have I done differently this year? Because I had never cracked 7 figures in 12 months. I cracked 7 figures in 12 months, but not ever in a calendar freaking year. And it drove me bananas because I was like, it would always just more and then slightly miss it. And I created the million when I celebrated the million in the financial year. Our financial years goes from June to July. I celebrated the million. So seeing it and having it in a recognized time frame. And now a month later, we're literally celebrating a million in 8 months. And the first time I've ever done it in a calendar year, but it's literally like in 8 months and we've got so much year left. And so it's so much buffer and it's not right to the last minute and missing it at the last minute. It's like, we've got so much year left. So something had to have changed. My bodies of work all are exactly the same. I have wow, my private one-to-one, hands up my privates, woo! My private one-to-one coaching. I have figure 7, my one-to-one mastermind, and we're going to go deep into every single one of my bodies of work in I think it'll be like day 4. Stay tuned for that. And I have all of my programs and products are the same as they were last year. So what the friggin' heck changed? And there was a couple of little nuanced things. My content is still very similar. There's just a couple of things, 6 things changed. So as I started to write it, I just channeled this post through and it was in sections. I started with the brand. 7 figures in 8 months, the how behind the wow. And the first thing that I wrote was the brand, the big dreams, the beliefs, the bodies of work. I was going to breaking down the bodies of work, the balancing the front ends and the back ends, and then the business butterfly effect. And then as I finished writing this, a complete big essay mini booklet thing, I was like, oh, I can't post this separately. I can't post this as one thing. It's huge. I'm going to have to break it down into 5 posts. And I was like, hang on a minute. If I'm going to break this down into 5 posts, I want to make this into a whole energetic situation. So I went to the beach and I turned the big idea into an even bigger idea. And I was like, here's what I'm going to do. Every day is not just going to be that section, the brand, the big dreams, the beliefs, the bodies of work, like breaking down every single thing that I sold. So, you know, how I sold, what I sold, the sequence of what I sold, and how that 7 figures came through in 8 months. I'm breaking it down because I was always fascinated with that. And nobody would like friggin' share it. What are you selling? What are you selling? And then the balancement, like balancing the front lines and the back ends, and then the butterfly effect. I'm like, dudes, this is literally my me brand pillars. This is the pillars of my me brand that I've been running since 2018. And I've been doing a live masterclass since 2019. So if you want to know where we're leading with this masterclass, for the first time in Big Dreams, the Dream Bigger free series history, we're going into Me Brand, which is my membership, and it's got 3 years of personal branding masterclasses. But I realized the brand has something massive to do with this change and this pivot of things moving at lightning fast speeds and things happening faster than they've ever happened before. And it wasn't the selling strategy. It wasn't the marketing strategy. It was, I changed the way that I looked at my brand. I deepened into the things I talk about in your personal brand. So that's what we're breaking down today is the brand. I don't know if you expected that because I don't know if you expected this. You might have thought some manifesting thing or something around mindset or something around belief ethics, which are all relevant always. But this edition of Dream Bigger is the 7 figures in 8 months. The first thing that came through for me is I changed something in my brand. Because you might know from me, I post barely anything about business and branding for free on the internet. I just don't. I don't know why. I don't do it intentionally. I just only follow my inspired action, and business strategies and sales strategies and marketing strategies and branding strategies just don't drop through. For today and for this Dream Bigger, 7 figures in 8 months, quite literally the how behind the wow. I want to be super generous because I feel so grateful and so gifted and so deep in appreciation and in the vibration of celebration. I just want to stream it all for you in the best way that I know how, for free, with no expectations. And I hope you are open to receiving it. So the brand, you guys are so ready for the brand. The brand, this is really big, so I really want it to land really well and perfectly. This is going to be something you've probably never heard before. This is something that you might not have tapped in before. And it's a very nuanced thing that's channeled through me after literally decades of doing this and 3 years straight of talking about and running masterclasses on personal branding every single week for the last 3 years and running a course and a modality and a methodology called Me Brand, which is my life's work around personal branding. You get to change and elevate the way you've always done things, business as usual. So you might flip it upside down, turn it round and round, spin it out and see what spits out the other side. Because generally we do our brand like business as usual. We just do the things we've always done in a way we've always done them. And we've set up so much. Some of you guys are doing 100K months and you've built a brand. I was doing 100K months and I built this brand around a certain way of doing things. But here's the problem with that. When buyer behavior changes. So I have this innate ability and also an expertise around buyer behavior. So my degree that I did with 3 kids, I actually have a degree in this. I didn't do it for this purpose. I just was following inspired action in 2006 to get a university degree while I had a heap of kids and I was running business. It seems stupid, ridiculous, crazy, and I don't know why I would do it, but I did it. And here I am now with this university degree that I did with a heap of kids. And I graduated when I was 33 weeks pregnant. And of course, there's 33 people here right now. And I graduated with a university degree of a Bachelor of Communications. And I learned so much that I didn't know that I needed. At that time, it seemed like weird, esoteric concepts of buyer behavior and consumer behavior. But I realized I was so frothing on these things. I was like signing for them. Isn't that interesting? It's like human behavior. It's buyer behavior. And I noticed at the start of this year, did anybody else notice that buyer behavior changed? And guess what? This is not anything new. This happens every freaking month. It happens every 6 months, every 3 months, every year. But just most of us, we build a brand so big that we don't pivot, we don't move, and we're not nimble enough to take notice. We just get stuck in our ways. And then we become what I like to call the entrepreneurial aging. Because when you've got age online, you get stuck in your ways and then you start to show your age because when things shift and change, you don't move. You just get stuck in your ways, the ways that it's always worked for you. And you know that you've weathered all these different kinds of changes and you've stayed solid. Now, branding means you get a really clear sense of how your brand is meeting the market. And I'm going to make this real for you in a second because it is still esoteric. It's still a bit ethereal, but it's going to land for you really deeply in a minute. I noticed my buying changes. So, did you notice the buyer behavior changing this year specifically? And what did you notice changed for you with your buyer behavior that you felt like maybe even with your own or maybe with others? Buyer behavior and your brand is so imperative that you get really tuned in to listening and feeling into the field. What happened for me is I really realized that one of the things that had always, I just launched every single year, every single month of my life. And something, I actually wrote this yesterday in the post, and I'm going to read it out here, is take the time to build renowned brands around your bodies of work because people see through your incessant selling of scrappy courses to make quick cash. I noticed the buyer behavior became exhausted with the scrappy courses and the like launch. And nothing, no, it was just kind of like just spitting out these courses and selling to save yourself. And it's just like scrappy. It became like so many people were just like launching scrappy courses. And then even though yours aren't in that category, it it came over of what used to be super fun just to like launch this like thing off the back of your hand, not think much of it. It was put in the same category of just like launch, sell, market. And it created like an exhaustion of these scrappy courses that the person put more energy into selling them than they did in running them. I sold Big Dreams Bootcamp last month and we are still going deep in it. We have all of my team sending email, getting the emails ready for the whole 111-day quest, 111 videos, homework modules, workbooks, the whole thing. It's not just something that I launch and just put out there just like a scrappy course. It's a full-fledged 111-day situation. Me brand. I've been running that thing for 3 years. There's no scrappiness in it. It's got full depth in it. And so I noticed this massive buyer behavior change. But that is what a lot of us get in the habit of because that's what makes the sales. And if you switch it around, it can actually be super scary. And so I did something that I don't think I've ever seen done in such an intentional way before. And you guys, once I say it, you'll probably be like, oh my God, #Dara, I've noticed that. If you've been watching me all year, you'll probably notice when I say it, but it's not something that is taught. It is not something that we're made aware of. It's not something that's prevalent online. Okay. You ready? So who knows when I say figure 7, who knows what that is? If you've been following me for more than a second, more than a week, you most likely will know what figure 7 is. I realized we spend so much time working on our own personal brand, our me brand, our personal brand. What are my values? What is my big dreams, my beliefs, my brand marketing of me and my bodies of work that I create? And the balancement and the butterfly effect and the base beat. What are you creating every single day? My mastermind, Clee. Kylie is in figure 7, so she knows exactly what figure 7 is. Anne knows it's my mastermind. Ellie knows it's your mastermind. And what is the move that people make when people come into figure 7? What is the move that they're making? I know that it's your hybrid one-to-one and mastermind. Yeah, Jay knows all the details. Your mastermind of shooting for them being in the millions. Lick is paying attention. And even if you're not paying attention, if you're just kind of like just seeing my stuff pass through your field, you know what figure 7 is. And I built a brand around my body of work. And so there is intrinsic and inherent value in even investing in my mastermind because I've done the legwork and made it an inherent and intrinsic value because it already has a brand built into it. It has a reputation built into it. When people say, oh my God, I signed up to Figure 7, people know this woman just made $1 million move. It's branded. Even the investment is branded. Do you think that happens because I mentioned it once? Do you think that happens because it was a happy accident? You just think that happens because I just wrote one post about it 5 months ago? No, that happens because every single day, as much as I'm building my own personal brand and investing in my own personal brand, I'm investing in the brands that I have people buy. And I'm having what people buy in my brand a brand in itself. I'm building brands around my bodies of work. So one of the biggest codes that I've locked into is that if you have a mastermind and nobody knows the name of it, people are investing money in it, there is no intrinsic or inherent value in it for them. There is going to be the actual value that they get through it, but there's no extrinsic value as well by just like being a part of it. It means something to be in Figure 7 because I spent the time instead of sell, market, building the brand, which took months of intentional, inspired action. Knowing exactly what I was doing and knowing that I was doing it to build a brand so that when people invest in the mastermind, it says something about where they're at, what they're doing, and where they're going. Make sense? It's not just some scrappy mastermind that nobody knows about because I'm just selling because I'm trying to make money. I'm creating something of value for my clients to be a part of, as well as the coaching and the mentorship that they receive in it. Does that make sense? Yeah, it was already called Figure 7. So already was there, already existed. Had Figure 6 was it before Figure 7. So as soon as in May 2021, it went from Figure 6 to Figure 7. Before that, I've had it since 2017 or something called Mission 6. So it only got renamed as Figure 7 last year. This code is essentially around take the time to build a brand around your actual containers. Does that make sense? You're building a brand around your personal brand, but instead of selling, because selling doesn't really build your brand, it's storytelling around Figure 7. It was showcasing my clients. It was making it into an intentional move. It was giving it actual value by being in it. And that wasn't just Figure 7. I did that for Big Dreams Bootcamp. Build $1 million body of work beneath your $1 million personal brand. That's what I did in 2022, is I looked at it when I was not so much selling Figure 7, more of the vibe of building a brand, just as you intentionally and strategically and with consideration build your personal brand, do the same for your programs. And sometimes that requires longer airtime. And instead of being a 1 month or you talk about it for 2 weeks and then you're onwards, you're actually giving it room and space to grow. So here's what I did. I think the biggest thing to remember here is that is going to take time. When you're building a brand, it's actually literally going to take time. But we are used to like talking about something for 2 weeks and being right in it sell out. Or we talk about something for 2 days and it's all right and it sell out. I started the year and here's what I did. So I started this year and I made a really big move because I was like, okay, well, if I'm launching these things in 2 weeks, in a month, and I'm launching these things and I'm going through the motion of launching these things, what needs to change? So something massive had to change. Something that I've been doing since 2014, in January 2014, had to actually change. Being the launching queen since 2014, I even had one of my most best selling course over the last decade online was this course around launching. And so as I came into this year, I noticed that if I'm going to build a brand around Figure Seven, if I'm going to build a brand around my signature courses, if I'm going to build a brand around my bodies of work, one by one, building them out, then I've got to give them time and space to grow. But then that feels super scary when you're used to selling to boost the bottom dollar, selling to make money. Well, I don't want to launch anymore. I just want to fill Figure Seven, my coaching and my one-to-one. I just wanted to fill that up, which meant I knew that I had to stop launching. But how do you fill a room if you're not launching? So I had to change how I thought about it. Instead of thinking about launching or selling and doing things in strategic ways, I thought about it more in I'm building a brand for this. And sometimes that feels a little slower and it feels a lot more considered. And you're really feeling into all of the things that would take that you to create a brand. Is what does this stand for? What are we aligning to? What is the container alignment aligned to? So when people come into Figure Seven, what are they actually aligning to? What are we doing together? So have you fully nailed that out for your mastermind or your bodies of work? What is the outcome? What are you doing together? What are you aligning to? What are you collectively aligning to? Even if there's many different people in there, what are you collectively aligning to? And so I started the year going, I'm not going to launch anymore. And I just literally was like, I'm going to let my content be the content that I'm inspired to create. And it was like inspired action only. And that became the oyster that I lived the next. I'm going to go into the day and I'm going to take inspired action. And it's not always going to be in alignment with what I'm launching because I'm not even launching anything. I'm just running programs live once a month. I'm running a live personal branding masterclass in Me Brand. And I was just running these things and doing these things. And I'm like, if these are mind blowing and life changing and world class, it will be known. And I knew they were, but the launching was taking my energy away from this. Now, I don't recommend you guys do this. What I want you to feel is sometimes there's a risk. There's a move you've got to make that is different than what you've always done. There's a risk to it. And there was a risk for me to stop launching. And that was what I was inspired to do. I just wanted to fill the room and raise the roof on Figure Seven and start there and go along a quest of building out the brands for my bodies of work because I have been teaching some of my bodies of work since 2014. And I realized whenever I launched them, I was selling them as a program, not as a methodology. And my programs are all methodologies. They're not just courses where you learn a few codes. I teach codes on the internet for free. It's methodologies. It's things put together in the right sequence, in the right way, like a modality and a methodology. It's not just like a course of a whole heap of information put together. It's like a whole methodology that's absolutely life-changing. If you go into Big Dreams Bootcamp, there's 7 stages and it gives you the codes for each of the stages that you are actually going to go into. It's very archetypal. So it's very much based on the archetype of the stage that you're in your big dream. So methodologies, modalities. And I realized when I was launching them like they're a regular course versus building a brand around them, then I was doing the bodies of work a disservice and not allowing them to have like their own brand. So I stopped launching. And that was a part of my brand because I didn't just stop launching. I made it a part of the conversation. I brought you guys along with the narrative because without a niche, which most of us don't have, but when you have a narrative, you don't need a niche. you have a narrative. And so I shared this that I'm going to stop launching and I'm just going to fill the room and raise the roof. I don't need to be the promo guy. I just get to be up on the stage, creating an incredible experience, and it gets to do the talking itself. And so I just showed up every day. That didn't mean I didn't create content because I'm not launching didn't mean I didn't create content. Launching, when you launch, you're essentially and effectively creating content specifically for that course or the launch or the workshop, which then makes the content a little bit more agendavized. You've got like an agenda behind all your content. And so yesterday was such an inspired action. So this is how I launch now. It's not even launching. I drop something that's inspired and I'm like, I just wrote a post yesterday and I wasn't like, I'm going to write a post so that I can launch a free 5-day thing. No, there is no planning. My team woke up this morning, came to work, didn't know what the heck that they were going to get hit with. I think they had a clue because I think they saw my stories yesterday. This is going to be a fun week. And I started writing this post, inspired action. It was a Sunday and I just started to write this post and I was inspired to share the codes. No agenda, no launch. I'm not launching anything. So where would it be leading to? Just pure inspired action that alchemizes itself. So I started writing this post of 8 figures, 7 figures, or 8 figures, 7 figures in 8 months. The how behind the wow. And I just started writing it, the brand, the butterfly effect, the balancement, the bodies of work. I want to break down all of my bodies of work, figure 7, me, brand, all of my things that I make all this money from and through. I'm going to just break them down so you can see exactly the sequence and how I do it and all the programs and all my products so you can really see where all the money's coming through. And I was like, that's going to be so cool. That section is going to be so cool. But then as I wrote it out, I'm like, this is such a journey. This is so full. This is such an experience. And then I went to the beach, like I said, and I was like, oh, this gets to be dream bigger. So instead of me sitting down and trying to plan some sort of free 5-day, 3-day, masterclass, it's just I followed my inspired action. This comes through to me. And I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're launching it. And as in tomorrow we start. So there is no time to launch. So instead of putting any energy and any effort into a launch, we're just started. This energy is now. I got the idea literally yesterday afternoon, not even 24 hours ago. And here we all are. There's emails that have gone out. There is messages that have gone through. There is posts that has happened. There is a big banger post that's about to drop for you later on. There's stories. Everything is in motion instantly before 24 hours because there's no launch time. We just start. I follow the inspired action and away I'm going into this is the inspired action is to create a 5-day free live expansion, dream bigger, 7 figures in 8 months, the how behind the wow. I could not have planned this better. It had to come through the inspired action and then afterwards up. However, if I was like, okay, I need to do a 5 free-day thing. Okay, what's it going to be called? Okay, what's it going to be about? Okay, it's thinking. I'm just so much thinking. And then it's just like dot point. Just follow the dots and join the dots and do this video and then do that and then do that and then do that. Versus inspired action, all the energy instead of going into launching and then building the amount of people that come into Dream Bigger. It's if you're here and it is your moment and you are ready to dream bigger, this is the time is right now and you don't need to wait a week. All the energy I have for this is here and now. So that none of my energy has been built into the launch of this. All of my energy is funneling and siphoning into delivering this for you right here, right now in this crystallized way. So there's no launching time. There's no lag. I've deleted the lag. There is no launch. I want to feel, let's feel into the field. I want to feel where you're at with this. Now, I do not want you guys to stop launching. I want you to feel into what the message is here. And the message is there is nothing you're required to do. There's something you'll feel that you get to change in the way that you do things. You might never launch. And so I got to launch. You might never do something in a certain way. And you're like, I'm feeling this insatiable desire to do it in this way. And it might be time. I never had it considered in a million years that I would stop launching. I can do it in my sleep. It's as easy as breathing. It was not in the realms of considered. I didn't even consider it. And that was the problem with your old age online, as in you've been online for a while. You start to show your online age and you get set in your ways, and then you don't know or see or feel another way. It's just the live streaming all the time. I have to live stream to sell. What if you don't? So now I want to give you what happened instead. It's like, what is inspired action and intentional action? Now, intentional is my form of planned action. So now that we've followed the inspired action, now we're in the realm of aligned intentional action of I'm live at a specific time every day this week. That's intentional. That was it inspired by an idea. The way that I work is it's a me brand. It is working with the way you work, not with my ways, not emulating the way of, okay, I'm just going to stop launching. There might be some truth in that for you, or it might be the way that you're launching might be different. They might be longer launches. They might be shorter launches. It might be the way you go about them is different. You might give yourself space to have intentional action that's not related to your launch in the morning. And then in the afternoon, you do your stuff that's related to the launch. And so you have this freedom in the morning that's nothing with an agenda. Nothing's with an agenda that you have to sell with this content. It's pure content. It's pure artistry. That it's not to sell. It is just to be that tap into that creator and that artistry, which is very alchemizing. It's had the opposite effect that I thought it would have. I just have to follow this desire that I feel this filling energy at the start of the year. I just want to fill the room and raise the roof. And then which brings me to my next point is I built a brand within my brand. I built a brand with my bodies of work, starting with Figure 7. And now I'm moving into my one-to-one because Figure 7 has got a really, really strong brand. And now moving into my one-to-one and moving into me brand. Essentially building a brand around my me brand methodology, which is something that I've never done. It's like kind of this secret underground work that I do because I don't post that much strategic or business related stuff. I've got a 7-figure business, 7 figures in 8 months, and you'll be hard pressed to find a business related or sales related or a coaching related post on my feed. There's nothing like, here's how to be a coach, or here's coaching industry, tips for the coaching industry, or branding tips, or business tips, or mentoring. I don't know why. It's just inspired action only. And that's not what comes through me. But if I go to last year, it's right, I've got to get to work now. I've just got to, okay, we've got to post the businessy posts. I've got to post about those coaching posts. I've got to do those Instagrammy substancey posts. And this can be your oyster. So furthermore to this point of your brand is the oyster. So we've really talked about the oyster. We've talked about the buyer behavior. We've really lent into building a brand around your body of work. So this is the oyster and talked about the inspired action and the intentional action. So the oyster is this, like, what is your favorite, most naturally occurring content to create? What do you find yourself just creating without it feeling like, right, we've got to get down to business? Use that as a realization. What is the actions in your business that feel like work? So I had this beautiful summer holiday and had a whole week off. It was amazing and gorgeous and beautiful. And I had this whole week off of my business and I just worked on my client day. I just did my client sessions on Tuesday. So I do all of my client sessions on one day. They're 20-minute sessions that I have with my clients. And then I just did my boxes, which is like really just natural, easy. It doesn't feel like work to me. So I can say I had a week off without, I still worked for a day doing my client session, but essentially it didn't feel like work. It was like, okay, that was my work day, but the boxering doesn't really feel like work, right? And so then when I got back and I remembered, okay, Jana, you got to get back to business. I mean, you've had a whole week off now. You got to get back to business. And I was like, okay, what strategic post should I write? And that was weird because I was so out of the flow and the realization of what I've been creating 6 months prior, 7 months prior, 8 months prior. I had been only following inspired action. And I felt to get back on the bandwagon, it's okay, guns are blazing, let's do this. And I was like, oh. I was like, "Oh, I feel like what people whinge about with social media all the time." And I was like, "I never feel like that. I'm just like always, I've got so much. Just like, spills out of me." And I was having this moment, oh, now I know where like some of my clients feel like, I just don't want to show up. I just want to inspired about anything. And I was like, okay, back to business. Let's write a substancy post. What's the how to? What's the strategic tip thing? And I really took a moment to like, hang on a second. This doesn't feel familiar. All year, it's inspired action only. I'm not inspired. But you have to get back on the bandwagon. So consistency. Come on, let's do this. Come on, come on. And I was like, what is happening? Ew, no, that's not how I run my business. That's not how we do things around here. And it's okay, well, to get back into the flow, we do something daily and let's just do that until you get back into the flow. And I realized something. Oh my God, this whole started this year till these 8 months. I have not forced myself. I haven't been launching. So I haven't been creating content with an agenda. It's been pure creativity. It's been pure flow. It's been me dancing around and just with some sort of inspiring message or some sort of just like infusion or transmission or thought or vibe or sharing of my energy or celebration, to be honest. I felt, oh, but it's not enough for you just to spin around and take photos of your coffee and not say anything of substance or not say anything of potency. I'm going to put the strategies in there. I got to put the how-tos and the tips and things like that. But when I moved away, what I'd been doing naturally for a while, I realized I'd just been in this vortex of just inspired action only. And I just moved away from realizing the inherent value of that. The value being that me being in the vibration of celebration, me being in this aftermath of me spending years and years and years aligning to my biggest dreams come true and navigating all of the resistance along the way so that when I have it, I can hold it with grace because I've worked through all the obstacles. I've worked through all the highs and lows and the ups and the downs. It doesn't mean I don't have highs and lows and ups and downs now. It just means so much of the big stuff has been cleaned out on the way. And so now here I am basking. It's an appreciation, it's a celebration, it's a transmission, it's an infusion, it's a whole energetic situation. And that is of inherent value. It was just when you're launching, you're feeling and sensing and thinking that it has to be a certain way. But if it's not coming through you in that way and it feels like you are pulling teeth trying to create content like you see other people create, and you've just got this natural ability that you want to make funny reels or you want to do this funny post or you want to post a photo of your kid or you don't want to post a photo of your kid or you want to post a funny joke. We've lost the knack. When you're launching, it's like, I can't post that. It's not related to that. What's related to you? And it's inspired. So post that. So that is fun. So many of us, the biggest thing that we get into the trap of doing is we're putting the selling first. And that is great to build the bottom dollar. That is great for your cash flow. And there might be a time in your business where that is imperative and important. And we still even feel like that at the 100K months, then you've got it. There's something that we get to tap into is if I was patient back in the day, maybe I would have grown faster because could have been focusing on building the brand and taking the time. And most of the time I'd be like, I don't freaking have time for that. I just got to sell this thing. I don't have time for that. To give it space to breathe and to really make it be known and have it be known. And having it be known is not fire rosing people every day with buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. It's about ingraining it and then building it and encrypting it into the vernacular, into the verbiage, everything that I say. I'm saying figure 7 million times a day. I'm showcasing my figure 7 as a bajillion times a day. It feels like an immersion because I think it really means that you have the personal brand, which is above everything, the $1 million personal brand. Then to take that $1 million personal brand and levitate it to new levels at lightning fast speeds, take your bodies of work and elevate them. Build a brand around them. And building a brand around them is more about the storytelling. It's more about noticing as well. Like it's noticing the brand of the people that buy these things. Who are they? What are they looking for? What are they doing? So if I look at who is a figure sevener, a figure sevener is somebody who is aligning to seven figures while navigating the seven stages of big dreams. So that takes time to articulate that, not to sell it, but to articulate that, to show, not tell. That got to be the first thing. And then the last thing that I want to give you, good. My code is I show up every day, right? Because that for me, I know works. Because when I show up in the way every day in some way, shape, or form, it creates this beautiful rhythm. And so many people are showing up every day is of disservice to your energy, to your natural rhythms. Now, we send ourselves on a bit of a spiral when we have a belief about our way. And we'll talk about more that on the believing section, which will be on day 3. The belief about our way. So we'll dive deeper into that. When you have a brand, you stand for something. And moreover to what I was saying with the celebration yesterday. So I celebrated the 7 figures in 8 months. And I brought voice to they. I am not blind. I see it on the internet. I don't want to see your numbers. I want to see your impact. Numbers mean impact. Cliff Notes version, by the way. And literally, I was making impact on the internet before you were in your entrepreneurial diapers. So there's also that. Let's not let the savage too far through because she says things that she can't take back. And what else? What else did I write yesterday? And showing off and all these celebrations. And if you're really deepening into your brand, what do you stand for? If you stand for not celebrating, don't celebrate. That's fine. But what do you stand for? And so for me, I stand for celebration is appreciation in active form. I stand for no longer revering self-deprecation and false humility. I stand for us finally standing up and saying, I'm not a quiet achiever anymore. This is what I did. And I'm freaking proud of how I did it and what I've done and how I created it. And I'm proud of myself. I also stand for the women in my world that quite literally celebrate me as if it's a celebration for themselves. You celebrate with me. It's not me celebrating and you celebrating me. You're celebrating us. So the brand gets to stand for something because when I say I hit this, I say we. The big dreamers, we did it. I say, oh my God, we did it. Because when I elevate, so too does the community. Some fall off the field and go a different direction, and that is their sovereign choice. When we really deepen into what do you stand for, and that does not mean railing somebody under the bus if you stand for something. It means I post my pure celebratory post from a really pure energy, knowing that there's a big amount of people that are very anti-celebration, and I stand in my celebration without it being a rebuttal, with just it being just it being a pure celebration. So my brand stands for inspired action only. My brand stands for doing it your way. My brand stands for need means no and desire means yes. And my brand stands for dream bigger. If you can see your dream, that's not a dream, it's called a goal. If you can see exactly how you're going to do it, it's not a dream, it's a goal. And I don't do goals. That's not my shindig. I'm not your girl. I don't do goals. I do dreams, and we can't see them. We don't know how. We have a clue. We have a framework. We have an idea. We have some sort of hint, and we follow it without seeing it. That's a big dreamer. Humble is not a word that I revere anymore, and I don't see it as a character trait that I admire anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. As women, we've been so repressed for so many years. Why would we do that? Why would we go along with, like, yes, more oppression? I'm just going to oppress my success because it's really uncomfortable for you to hear. No, I don't do that anymore because I stand for something. I'm a big dreamer and I dream bigger. Okay. So if you're ready for the final part, we're going to get into it. So what's been the favorite one so far? Is it around the oyster? Is it around the buyer behavior? Or is it around building a brand for your bodies of work? I nearly posted, I like to sit on things and mellow on things so they're never a rebuttal. I don't like to do rebuttal posts. It's not my style. And also, this is something that I saw 5 months ago. So I sit on things for a while. I just wait. I just wait. Generally, the people that don't celebrate, and as in say you shouldn't celebrate, generally when they start to have big wins, they start celebrating. It's weird like that. It's weird. No judgment. I just noticed something. Anyway, I was going to write yesterday and then I got on a complete tangent. I'm like, no, that gets to be a post for another day. Maybe it gets to be here. And when people talk about income and not impact in dollars and numbers, and I'm like, dude, the reason I have numbers is because of the impact that I've had. That doesn't come from no impact. You don't make 7 figures in 8 months by having no impact. It's purely because of the impact you're having with your customers, your community, and your clients. All of my pay in fulls up until last month, all of my pay in fulls for a year have all been from prior clients signing on for another year and paying in full. So there's that. But in 2014, my first client was a single mom of 3. You want to talk about impact? When you were in your entrepreneurial diapers or probably weren't even an entrepreneur yet. In 2014, my first client came to me. She's talked about this on the internet. Single mom, 3 kids, just enough to pay for my coaching. That wasn't that much back in the day. Invested all she had, a couple $100 to work with me back in the day. And she created 6 figures in 7 months. Then she went on to meet her dream partner. Then they became married not long after. And then they created $1 million business with all she knew, and 2 of them together and created $1 million business. So I've been making impact for a second. It took a while to catch up. My numbers took a while to catch up to the impact. That's what happened. Never heard you say that. And that's exactly how I feel. This is a big dreamer. Never heard anyone know this. I am a big dreams whisperer. Literally in 2006, had the whole angels singing moment. I signed up to university. I quit my job. I started running businesses. And I was like, you're crazy. I was sitting there 4 months in with the workload that I saw with my businesses, and then the workload that I saw with my uni, and then having 2 tiny little kids, like little kids. I was like, oh my God, I've lost my marbles. What have I done? I'm 4 months in and I'm not a quitter. This is ridiculous. I'm never going to go and get a job with this. It's a Bachelor of Communications. What sort of stupid degree is this? This has got nothing to do with anything. Buyer behavior, consumer behavior, media communications channels, newspapers, magazines. Can you see where it went? It knew what was happening. And then online communication channels. Oh, I wonder how that paid off later on. Anyway, I had this moment. I was sitting on my black office chair. It was one of those spinning ones. And I was sitting on there. I was like, what have I done? And I heard an audible voice. Jana, you're here to help women feel capable of their big dreams. Where'd that come from? It was a male voice. And it came through. I did think a lot of it, but not in the moment. I was like, how interesting. And then that became how I finished my university degree. I had all these businesses. Why would I need a uni degree when I just have a business now? I had multiple successful businesses. When I graduated, I had a really successful wedding makeup business. I didn't need a job doing what I'd done. And everything that I learned from that was everything that I use. I was learning something that I never knew I'd needed until years later. I understood the assignment without knowing what the assignment was going to lead to later on. P.S. If you want to put a question, go for it. Let's do some question time. Did you start immediately coaching coaches? No. My first client that came to me, she wanted to create an online tech company how I had. And so I showed her how to do it. And I was like, you're going to have to pay a lot for this because I literally just blood, sweat, and teared for 5 years learning this. And now I'm just going to give it to you in an hour and just fire hose you with it. And I charged what I felt like that feels like fair. But it was still a lot for like me. And then she signed up to work with me for longer. And that was my first client. And then the first one in 2014, once I'd established a proper business, it's always been experts, enthusiasts. So it's not coaching coaches. It's I mentor life workers. That's the way I see it. Is they're enthusiasts, they're experts, and they're experimentalists. So I got my eyes done the other day. She's pretty to work with, and so she had a business coach and stuff, and she's got a eyebrow salon. I work with experts and enthusiasts and experimentalists. So I don't work with businesses like that. I don't work with that kind of business. I work with people that are experts in their field and teaching that expertise, and that their enthusiasts and their expertise and their education and all of that. So I wouldn't work with somebody that's, running, although I would be really good at that. That's not who I work with. I work with the experts and the enthusiasts and the experimentalists who are creating bodies of work. Life workers are people that create a body of work, book a course, a mastermind, a mentorship, or a mastermind around their expertise and experience. Okay. So I'm going to go to the last bit, and then I'm going to pick up any questions. By stopping launching, what I essentially did was create a client-first business. So this is how it actually happened. I realized that I was going to run these courses because they're so important to my work. Me brand, all of my clients do me brands. Hands up my clients if they do me brand. You guys, they go through the codes in me brands. PS, by the way, ad break, you can join. There's 3 mega masterclasses at the start that you get started with. One's called Oneology. Cancel anytime. Come for a week, come forever, however, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. I have me brand, and it's one of my major ones that my clients go through. So they do Oneology. If you're in me brand, you'll know what your Oneology is. They do the 3-peat in there. So 3-peat is, you'll know when you're in. And they do free frame, the difference between what is free and what is paid. It's a framework that you'll have forever, and you'll never need to ask that question ever again. So when a client comes to me, it's like, how do I know what is free and what is paid? Do free frame. I will explain to them in Clifford Notes version, and then I give them the hour-long masterclass that breaks it down. I can't do that in a Voxer, and I can't do that in my 20-minute session. So they go and do that. And then we tap into it in a personalized way, and we go deeper into it. And that's why my clients get major results, because they've got the big code, like the hour-long code that we get to unpack deeper in their personal work. Or I just Cliff Note version it for them. And so I can give them like a 5-minute Cliff Notes, really intense and rich version for them. And so they do. And then same thing with Oneology. When one of my clients is very directionless, or there's nothing sort of like, they're not associated with everything. It's like really nailing their Oneology. So I have all these codes and these methodologies and these modalities that are really important to my work, my one-to-one work being really potent and powerful and shape-shifting. And these things don't happen in a second. Oneology is not a 2-second thing. Here's quick cash for you. Oneology is a branding move that you make over 6 months. And so it's not like, hey, here's how to make quick cash in the bank today. No, it is literally a 6-month situation of really nailing in your Oneology. So they have that. They have these pieces. So when, for example, this month that we're doing a 3-hour workshop that I'm not selling. We'll mention it here and there and everywhere, but I don't sell it because I'm doing it for my clients. And so the code here is client first. What do my clients need? When I start to feel something in the field that my clients need, because they're all like, they're levitating to new levels at lightning fast speeds, I look at what my clients need and then I create that. And the best example that I can give you from this whole year was quite literally, my clients kept on asking me marketing stuff. So difference between branding and marketing and selling. And they were asking for a selling course. I'm like, actually, I think you're wanting a marketing course, because marketing is different to branding and branding is different to marketing. And so you've got your branding, your marketing, your selling. They're all different. Those are your 4 different ways. You've got creation, marketing, selling, and branding. 4 different modes of communication, the way that we communicate, right? And they're completely different. So marketing, for example, is expanding on what lands, and it's how you market what you've created. You market what you create. So say, for example, when I send an email, how do I put the title and hook in the title so you read the thing? Because without the title, I'm diminishing my creativity that's inside of the email. So without a title that grabs your attention, like 7 figures in 8 months, hello, marketing, hook, how behind the wow, hook, so that you can come and experience this. More people get to experience your creativity because your marketing is on point. If your marketing is crap, nobody's going to watch your incredible creations, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I do such great work. Yeah, but your marketing's shit. So nobody reads it. Nobody opens it. Nobody looks. Nobody goes beyond the fold. Nobody goes, see more. Nobody watches your live stream because the title is boring. Marketing is important. So this is some of the things that I was like really working with and working on. I'm like, you guys need a course. We need a course. And so on a Friday, I was like, right, organic marketing. And it was juicy. I was like, dudes, I'm going to get my PowerPoint displays out and we're getting gritty, nitty gritty meeting. And I'm never doing this course ever again. It's just done for you now. And now I never need to do it again. It's never going to be run live again. It's done. Because too many questions were coming through for me not to pay attention to my clients first. I've got a client first business. Friday, I said, hey guys, we're doing organic marketing. And so everything that I wrote on the front lines was everything about getting my clients to know that we're doing this course on Monday. That was what it's about. And the posts were basically like, we start on Monday, organic marketing. And it was such a fire program. And I didn't launch it. But it has been so foundational and fundamental for my clients. And then that's just created and generated more clients coming through. So that is having a client-based business is the behind the scenes buzz is quadrupled because what's behind the scenes is meaty and life-changing and tectonic plate shifting. The things I launch now are not launched because they're not made for the public. They're made for my clients. And so it's made for them specifically. So I go and run it. And all of that launching energy that I would siphon into the launch is now channeled into the course. And so the course is beyond epic. You know, when you've launched something and then by the time the course comes around, you're like, I am so sick of this subject. I'm literally going to poke holes in my eyes. Have you ever had that? There's no shame in that. We all experience it. Hello, I've been a coach for 10 years. I know exactly what's happening behind the scenes with everybody. This year, every course that I've ran is so potent because it's the first time I'm saying the things. Expand what lands. I'm dropping codes that have never been heard before, and that makes me really happy. So there you go. Client first business. Creating my courses, workshops, and masterminds for my clients. Spending less time launching and more time finessing. I know I usually don't like to give such strategic stuff because the problem with this is then it's okay, I'm so confused. Do I not launch now? This is what I've done with my brand. This is how I created 7 figures in 8 months. The how behind the wow. It is not how you. I'm not saying how to create 7 figures in 8 months. I don't do how to. I do how I. And from that how I know you guys are evolved and you understand the way that you work and work with the way that you work. That it's about, okay, that's the template. What am I hearing from that? What am I downloading? What am I translating from this? So I would love to feel, before I go into the questions, how is this translated for you? How is this translated in your cells, in your soul, in your body, in your energy? How is this translated for you specifically and your brand? Some of the things that it could be is like trusting in the way that you work. Some of the things might be realizing that, like above all else, what I'm really trying to say here is the beyond the how I did this is your decisions as the CEO matter to the brand. Your decisions you make and the pivots you make and the nimbility you have is important to the brand because every move you make impacts the brand. When I start wearing other things other than purple, it impacts the brand. People are like, oh my God, she's not wearing purple. Or when I straighten my hair, people freak out because they used to the crazy hair. I've got to be intentional about these things because every decision you make as a CEO impacts the brand. Really understanding that your oyster is what you want to filter everything through. Every decision you make, every move you make is a brand marking move. You are marking your brand with that move. Every move. Decision not to launch, decision to launch. Decision to make inspired action instead of planned action. The decision to make your business client first or course based. The decision to be client based, no courses. The decision to use your courses just to be your clients. Every decision you make as a personal brand has an impact because every move you make is a branded move, whether you know it, whether you like it, whether you think it is or not. Understanding that you've got to be making these moves from an oyster. of knowing how to decipher and disseminate these decisions that you're making and filter them through your oyster. And your oyster is like your values. Your oyster is what you love and don't love, and making sure you're filtering them through that. I give how I, and then in my programs, I break down how I, but then also give you different options and ways of doing things. Like me brand, how to do the oneology, how to do the three-peat, the free frame, the clout codes. Those are the 4 things that you get immediately as you come in, and you get the whole library, but that's where you could start. Everything matters. Yes. I think we don't realize there's a point when we're building a brand, we don't realize that every decision that we make and every pivot that we do, we don't realize that it's actually a branding move. Even when I go and get my hair did and I get my hair straightened, I know that this is a brand move because people are used to seeing me with crazy wild hair, which is still the case. But I'll know that people will get a little weird about it. That's okay because I built a brand around having wild and crazy hair. So it's totally to be expected. That just shows not even does every move you make, everything you do impacts your brand. And so do it with delicacy. Sometimes I freeze because I know everything matters. Yeah. And it's talking it out with your community, with your clients, with your customers, talking it out and being in it. I don't have all of my shit together. What I like to do is I like to be like, hey, I'm going to 8 figures. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but when I get there, I'm going to tell you the how behind the wow, and I'm going to give you the codes. That's what I'm going to do. So I know I'm going to do it. I can't see how, because if I can see how I'm going to create 8 figures, it's not a big dream. It's a goal with measurable, smart, realistic milestones, which we don't do. That's not what I do. I'm not a goals setting person. I'm a big dreamer. And people are so surprised when I say that because they're like, you're the big dreamer. Yeah. Meaning I can't see how I'm going to do that. I literally said to Melanie, I finally crossed $1 million in a financial year, and my first big dream is 8 figures. She's like, you really are a big dreamer, aren't you? Most people like, maybe we could do 3. I'm just like, I just crossed 7 figures, 8 figures, I guess. It's a whole other 10 million, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. I was like, well, that's pretty on brand for me. Big dreamers. 7 figures, 8 figures, then next. Who does that? Okay. Let's answer the questions. Okay. Flick says, what advice do you have for someone who is notoriously private, creating a me brand and opening up to their audience, creating a personal relationship with their audience? Super easy. You don't have to share anything private. I think when it's a me brand, you can share so much without sharing your personal life. I've actually noticed the last year there's been less personal sharing and more, which is very self-serving sometimes. I make it almost not generic, but when I'm going through a sabotage, I don't give you the childhood memories that I'm going through and my childhood experiences that I'm bringing up and working through and healing. I'm not bringing that to the table. I am looking for the overarching theme and speaking from that, and speaking from it usually in a bit more of a generalized way versus some people like go into the nitty gritty of like all the details that are affecting of other people. And I don't do that. You can make it a little bit more generic, and it can be like, I'm in sabotage versus, hey, I'm dealing with some deep childhood wounding around this experience that happened when I was 10, and this caused me to believe this. You don't need to go that detailed. You can actually be a little bit more generalized, and that can be a lot more well received anyway. In terms of that, I know the question is not quite like that, but you don't need to share that kind of stuff. The thing that you can also do is you can do photo shoots that feel like they're just you and your life's work. You don't involve your family, don't involve the kids. It's just you and your life's work, and just in your portal. You don't need to post behind the scenes photos if that doesn't feel true real for you. It doesn't need to be what you do. Me brand is literally about you, and you can share points of view without sharing personal stories intricately. I can share really personal stories without even going into intricate details. You can share the lesson above them. You can do a post that shares a personal story, that the story's like 1 sentence. The more that you do that, the more that you'll be able to take the personalization out and put more of a resonance there that people can resonate with in a bigger way. I've noticed this too. Yes. Yes. I believe a block of mine has been having those different bodies of work for different types of people and how to speak to them all without worrying about clashing and people not being interested in some. So leaving. Yeah. So I think the bodies of work are what are true and real for you. And what is true and real for you sometimes doesn't meet the market. Sometimes it does. So what is true and real for you with your bodies of work? So for example, Big Dreams Bootcamp is one of my lowest selling programs, but I've sold it for literally 8 years because it's something that's really important to me. But for some reason, over 8 years, it has been one of my lowest selling programs. And I continue to launch it and I continue to sell it and I continue to make it and create it. But it's still one of the lowest selling programs. And I just don't make up a story around that because I love creating it and it's important. And the people that do go through it, the people that invest the time in it are like, oh my God, everybody needs to do this. This is ridiculous that everybody doesn't do it. Most people are looking for kind of like the money course, and I create those. Or they're looking for less of a bigger thing. And Big Dreams Bootcamp is an 111-day quest that starts you off, but it's a 5-year journey with it. It's not the quick wins that we're used to. So I do it for me as well as my audience. Intentionally makes up a brand. Such a good question. Association. So literally when you think of me, I'll give you an example. When you think of me, Jana Kingsford, what comes to mind? Let's play a little fun game. When you think of Jana Kingsford, what are the things that come to mind? Purple, genie. I won't give any more away. We want to see what comes to mind for you. Oh, I love this. People who you, Jana, create a movement, a feeling, and a freedom. You inspire me to do the same. These 3 are my life's work and are now the crux of everything I do. And Big Dreams Bootcamp makes me a phenomenal coach. It makes me a really good coach because I know every code. When I talk about celebration, celebratory symbols, celebratory experiences, celebratory service, that's a Big Dreams code. Those are codes in Big Dreams Bootcamp. I can just ring resistance is fear made manifest now. There's 4 forms of fear. There's a form of fear that's freeze, flight, fight, flee. Those 4 forms of fears will show up in your life during the way to your big dreams just before that you hit the celebration. They usually get the worst. I can just like string all these things together. The way that I speak on my online stuff, it comes because I have a 111-day quested, coded experience that's called Big Dreams Bootcamp. So if anything, it's refined the way that I coach. It's refined my mentoring. It makes my mentoring greater. And the people that go through it have their lives absolutely changed forever. And they're like, Big Dreams Bootcamp's my favorite course. But it's one of the ones that just doesn't seem sells as well. People coming into Big Dreams Bootcamp because they're seeing me mention it and basically have my clients come through it. It has so much inherent value of you creating things because they feel right and it feels cathartic to actually put that course out there. So for me with Big Dreams Bootcamp, it's so cathartic for me to put Big Dreams Bootcamp out there because I can like at the drop of the hat, it's big dreams, it's believing, it's action, it's resistance, it's celebration, it's sabotage, and it's sweet success. Those are the 7 stages of big dreams. Then we go into the 7 shifts. There's 7 essential shifts that we go through on the way to our big dreams. And there's like flows and ebbs. There's engaged enthusiasm, all those codes in there. There's and within those are the codes within those, like, oh my God, and of course, all these little codes underneath all of the shifts, all the essential mindset shifts on the way to big dreams, because the shifts are as real as anything. And then you have the big dream strategies. So the big dream strategies are 7 strategies. So you've got bringing it online, the balancement, and all of those codes around the businesses that are the vehicles and the vessels for our success. And then you've got the subconscious reprogramming, which is part 4. See, because I can just ring this out, it's because I spent years running Big Dreams Bootcamp. So that's how it happens. Okay, I need to get the comments back up, but I still saw you guys saying things. Australia, genie, magic. I love this. Okay. Freedom, big dreams, impact. Purple, genie, hilarious, wild-hearted, free spirited, big dream. That's branding. So branding is association, what you associate with that person and how does that serve me? So branding is, what does this satiate for me? What does this bring up for me? So a brand is, am I seen as luxury, professional, and serious? No. But is that a brand? Yes. Is that my brand? No. See what you mean? You don't realize how much your brand is a brand until you think, okay, well, are you professional, luxurious, and crispy clean? No. It's very much when you look at other brands, you'll realize, are you like Apple? No. Apples, think of like Apple. They just say Apple and you know what they're talking about. Association. It's like drilling in the associations of like when they think of you, what do they think of? And you sort of like get in this thing of just I'm just being myself. But is your brand like Apple? No. Then you're doing branding moves. And what is it instead? Brand is clean, crisp, white. That's Apple, right? That's a brand that aesthetically the brand and otherwise its products say a lot about the brand as well. And that's when I talk about the bodies of work. And when you build a body of work, your products and services say a lot about your brand as well. I have always said how important your bodies of work are to your personal brand. And for us to finish this off, how important each of the brands around your body of work are to the entire ecosystem. So this year I've done interviews. So if you go over to Dreams for Show, the podcast, you'll see interviews with my clients. I've showcased my clients when they make their move into the mastermind. They're so beautifully uplifting to the brand of Figure Seven, like what it means to be a Figure Sevener and making that into a move. And that is not done overnight. That is done over time. So build a brand around your bodies of work because they deserve it. Your bodies of work are having deep impact and changing people's lives. They deserve you to put more time into building a brand around them specifically, not just with you, with your personal brand, but the brand, could it live alone as a single entity? And that's how I treat each one of my bodies of work, because unless I'm ready to do that as a single entity, then it doesn't get to be in my brand. There you go. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Day 2 is going to be around the big dreams. And I've got something so special. We're going to send out an email. And also these codes, sign up, janakingsford.com/dream bigger. You will get all of the emails. We said the day 1, basically, it's not so much the day 1 debrief. It's day 1 in written form. It's actually what started this whole thing. And I would love to see you if you want to tag me on Instagram with your debrief inside of your stories or somewhere on the internet if you want to share. And just doing a debrief of letting me know what your ahas and your insights and what you're feeling and what you're thinking, because that is branding, bringing people along on the story and the narrative. And then you don't need a niche because you have a narrative. So get that narrative going. What are you doing with your brand? What things has this sparked within you? And tag me in so I can share it. It'll be so much fun. And I'll see you guys for day 2. The thing I'm going to share around big dreams is next friggin' level. I never spoke about it in this way. It was actually a big conversation that I had with my mentor. So you'll get a behind the scenes sneak peek of my own coaching moment with Melanie. And what else do I want to say? Oh my God. If you want to come into Me Brand, the membership, I'm obsessed with it. I've done a personal branding masterclass in there every single week for 3 friggin' years. And I realized as I wrote this post around the how behind the wow, 7 figures in 8 months, I realized this was an elevation of my Me brand. Every single piece is a Me branding component. All the pieces that I'm going to roll out over the next 5 days are less manifesty vibes and they're more Me branding. They're more about what I did with my brand. And that was the number one thing that I can see over this year of what I've done differently. And it was all centered around the brand. And that was really interesting for me because that wouldn't have been what I thought first. But as I really dived into it, I was like, oh, these things really did change and have an effect. I can't wait for day 4 because I'll be dropping my bodies of work and you're going to get a breakdown of all of my bodies of work. So my memberships, my Figure 7, how we wiggle this morning. So that's going to be super fun. Like I said, Me Brand membership. When you go in, I really recommend the first call that you do is Oneology. Now, I'm sitting in a car and very different to this. It's a couple of years ago. It was in the middle of the L down, March. I think it was one of the first calls. It was March 2020 as I moved Me Brand membership because it used to be 2018. Had it. And then I did Oneology from my car and inside of the car. And my hair I don't think I'd washed my hair for a couple of weeks at that stage because we were in the L down in a caravan and I did one of the most phenomenal trainings. So I'll never change it, but I look like death warmed up. But oh my God, the training that I did, Oneology, is all of my clients go through it. It is a fundamental training. You can do that. And this is the thing that I did in 2016 that helped me to go from a business brand. I used to have a business brand to a personal brand and really embody that. So you can go through Oneology. Free frame is one of my favorite things. I feel if you do free frame, then you'll know what I'm doing here. You'll know what I do with the Dream Bigger thing. You'll know the difference between the free and the paid. You'll know that forever and you'll never have to ask your coach ever again, what is free and what is paid? How would I know? do free frame and you'll know forever. It's once you know it, you're like, oh my God. So those are all there, immediate access. You can binge watch as many as you want and then leave after the week. No hard feelings. So I hope you guys have the best day ever going to Big James. I hope to see you in Me Brand. And if you want Figure 7, one-to-one mastermind, come on down. I hope you have the best day ever going to Big James. Thank you so much for being here. I've loved having you. I don't want to go, but I gotta go. I love you. Chief Big James Genie of the internet is out.